All right, now that we know what the legs and the hypotenuse are of the parts of the triangle, we're going to look at how on earth do we use this. So the first thing that we need to do, we need to have a formula that we are going to use. And I'm going to show you a little bit in class when you're working with me in that small group of why this works. So in this independent group, you are just going to be working with the formula in order to get some extra practice. So if you've already been in my group, you've already discovered that this formula is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. If not, that's okay. You're going to figure out why it works when you're working with me. So we're going to put this formula in color coding like we normally do. And because the formula starts off working with our legs, we're going to start off with that blue. So in blue, I want you to write down a squared plus b squared. Now we're going to go ahead and change over to our orange because we're going to end it with our hypotenuse, which is orange, equals c squared. Okay? A squared plus b squared equals c squared. Ultimately, what we're saying is leg squared plus leg squared is going to equal hypotenuse squared. Go ahead and move down in your notes. We are going to look at how do we use this particular formula right here in order to help us find a hypotenuse when that is the leg that is missing in a right triangle. So you can see that we're missing the hypotenuse, which is C. And remember, our legs are interchangeable, so it doesn't really matter what we label as A and what we label as B. So let's just go ahead and label this first triangle like this. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in so we can see just this right here. And up top, let's just go ahead and write our formula one more time so we get used to this. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. Okay? Now, when we have this algebraic formula that we have variables in, remember, we are going to be substituting in the number. So over here, we have this 14. That's going to be our A. We're substituting that in. And so remember, when we use substitution in algebra, it's a replacement. So I know that I use this example a lot, but think about when I have a substitute that comes into class because I am either sick or because I have a meeting, I'm not there. I leave, the sub comes in. And so when I substitute these numbers in, the letters go away. I am replacing the letters in my formula, A, with 14. I'm replacing B with 13 because those numbers are going to represent the variable in this particular example. We've been doing this quite a bit. We did it a lot with systems of equations. We've just been doing it a lot. So just remember, substitution means replacement. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I am going to go ahead and I'm going to substitute in the numbers that I have. So let's look. Right here, I know that A is equal to 14. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to replace A with 14 and I'm going to keep everything else right there, 14 squared, okay? Plus, now I can replace B with 13. 13 squared is equal to C squared. And I'm going to keep C squared because I don't know what C is. There's still that question mark there. All right, so now let's just give a quick review of what that squared means. 14 squared, does that equal 14 times 2? No, because that would be 2 times 14 or 2a. So this is not what we want. We don't want this. It is not equal. When we have that squared piece, that means that we have 14 twice. So what we're really looking at here is 14 times 14. Okay, so you need to make sure that you pay attention to that. So if I'm going to break this down over here, I have 14 times 14. And you're not going to have to write this out for every single one. I just want to make sure we review what that squared actually means. Plus, this 13 means this little 2 means that I have 2 of them. 13 times 13 is equal to c squared. So I actually like that I just did that in red, so it's nice and bold for you to know what we are doing. So we're in this geometry unit. I've been letting you use your calculator for the whole entire geometry unit. and that is okay. I know we've memorized these squares a long time ago. It's okay. If you use it, go ahead and pull it out. So 14 squared, or 14 times 14, equals 196. 13 squared, or 13 times 13, is equal to 169, equals c squared. Okay, now I'm going to keep on solving. So now I'm going to go ahead and add 196 plus 169. And I think I did that right. 196 plus 169 is equal to 365, which equals c squared. Now, it's been a while since we've done square and square roots. The opposite of squaring something is to take the square root. It's really good that we have our calculator here. It's going to make the math a lot easier, and we're going to be able to go through these a little bit faster. So in order to do this, I'm going to take the square root of both sides. That's going to cancel that out because the opposite of squaring is to take the square root. And in algebra, we're always trying to undo it by doing the opposite. So go ahead and in your calculator, take the square root. Let me find it. The square root of 365 square root. So C is approximately 19.1. And then I'm fine if you just have one digit after the decimal for right now. Okay, so all we're doing is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. We're going to sub in the numbers that we have for our two legs. And remember, substitution is the same thing as replacing. I'm going to square them. And remember, when you square, you're multiplying the number times itself. It's not times 2, it's times itself. We add, we take the square root. So let's do one more example in our notes. So go ahead and scroll down and let's look at this one. So I'm going to start with just copying down this formula. The more that I write it down, the better I'm going to be. Okay? So let's look here. I have A, I have B right here. I guess I don't really need those quotes. That's okay. And I have C down here. I am going to start by substituting in. So I am going to replace my A, 5 squared, plus replace my B, 5 squared, equals c squared. 5 squared does not equal 10. I'm not doing 5 times 2. 5 squared means 5 times 5. So 5 times 5 is 25, plus 5 squared again, 25, equals c squared. Now I'm going to go ahead and add 25 plus 25 equals 50, equals c squared. And remember, in order to take the square, to undo the square of something, I'm going to do the square root. That cancels out. So c is equal to 7.07. Or you could round that to 7.1. And I just found the hypotenuse. All right. So your notes should look like this. You guys actually don't even need this part, but it's probably good if you have that on there. Just make sure you ended up crossing that out. So if you have any questions over that, come see me. Otherwise, go ahead and do the next couple practice problems.